you can always tell front from back because even without the cuts, you're gonna have this groove across the side that kind of separating the ventricles. So here you can obviously see the different ventricles because they've been cut, but if this were all together, you could see this groove coming down here, and that's called the ventral longitudinal sulcus. So on this diagram right here, it's called the ventral longitudinal sulcus, which is where all the coronary arteries and veins are, okay, that serve the heart muscle. So look for this downward separating point, okay? Now that we know this is front, meaning this would be the front of us, so it would be like this. On an animal, though, like a sheep, it's like this, right?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so they always say ventral and dorsal, okay? So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to show you some of the stuff on here. Just like on the rat, here is the broken pulmonary trunk. It's broken open, but you can see it branches because you're going to have a left and a right lung. Or, you know, and it'll probably branch even some more after that. So coming out of the ventricle here. Here is the aortic arch with the brachiocephalic trunk on this side, right? Okay. And then here are the two atria. There's the left atrium and the right atrium, or auricle. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn it over, and we're going to look at the dorsal side, and I'm going to open up the right side. So here's the right side. Now if you feel this, you can tell it feels very thin if you compare it to the other side. Okay?
Which side is that?
This is the right side. Okay, so we're looking down at the back. So the back of the animal is on top. Here's his belly. Okay? This is the right side. And if we follow blood, you're going to have your vena cava coming into the right atrium, right? So I know a lot of these are slit, and you have to kind of just imagine that they're still there. So let me see if I can find the other one. So here's the other one. So this is the cranial vena cava and the caudal vena cava, whichever one. I can't tell which one they're coming from, but so here are the two vena cava coming in. Okay, so blood comes into the atrium, then it's going to go down into the ventricle, and this right here is one cuspid, two cuspid, and three cuspid valves. Does that correct? Tricuspid in the right. Okay.
Can you point that 1, 2, and 3?
I mean, you don't have to know which one's 1, 2, or 3. It's just I wanted to count them for you so you saw that there were 3. So there's 1, there's 2, and there's 3. Okay. These are the tricuspid valves. The function of them is so that when the ventricle contracts, blood doesn't go back into the atrium. So what happens is they kind of get sucked together and close off the atrium so that blood is forced out this way, out of that pulmonary trunk. Okay? So it has to go out that way. It cannot go back into the atrium. I think there are some disorders though that, and you notice all these little strings. Okay, all these little strings are called chordae tendineae. Not this one. We're going to talk about this one in a second. But all of these little skinny darker ones are chordae tendineae, and the function of that is if you didn't have them. So here are your valves, right? Blood goes into the ventricle and then gets pumped out of the ventricle. So they close off like this, right? And the chordae tendineae anchor them in this position so that they don't go like that. All right? So that's the chordae tendineae. Keeps them facing downwards. Okay, this right here is called the moderator band. So that's this one right here. And that's just to prevent overextension, I think, of the... it keeps the ventricle in the right shape, basically. Prevents overextension, puts it back in the right position for the next one. This is the papillary muscle. Also coming into the right atrium is the coronary sinus, which is this hole right here. And this is just bringing blood back from the actual heart itself, because this is muscle that needs blood also. So this little one here at the bottom, okay? larger one, this should have been the other vena cava.
Wait, what does the coronary sinus do?
Coronary sinus is bringing the blood back. It's the vessel that brings the blood back from the actual heart. So not only is heart pumping to everything else in the body, but it's also pumping to itself. And that's where you see the veins and arteries on this side. Okay, so this is bringing it back. Alright, so here's the posterior vena cava with the coronary sinus right underneath. Here's the anterior vena cava, all coming into the right atrium. Alright, so now the ventricle contracts. I'm going to turn this back over, and out we go to the pulmonary, to the lungs.